Hello, friends. Nearly everyone these days is looking forward to our lives returning to normal. I look forward to it too, but at the same time, I'm concerned that we may return too quickly. Of course, there's the worry that lifting restrictions prematurely will allow COVID 19 to infect more people than if we kept the restrictions in place a bit longer. But I'm also concerned that an over-focus on getting our lives back to what they were will keep us from experiencing the full potential for change that this season is presenting to us. While we look forward to our former way of life returning, we should stop to consider what aspects of that life are not worth bringing into our post-COVID 19 lives. It is very rare for us to make big changes easily or willingly. Yet sometimes big changes are necessary. This season has not been easy, and none of us entered into it happily or willingly, but there is a great potential in it to make necessary changes. The former pastor of the Lutheran church a block down the street from the church I served in Lewistown had this to say: "This should be a time to take stock of what was working and what was not, to reimagine ourselves and how we might better live together, care for one another, and make a better future together. So these two forces will be competing, one that is reactionary and cautious, and the other optimistic, forward-looking, and creative. My hope is not in the ashes, but in the phoenix that arises out of the ashes." He goes on to say, that is what Easter is really all about. It's about having faith in God, that God holds our future ultimately, which does not mean that everything is fixed and unalterable, but that God has a future in mind for us, which we will see rather vividly portrayed in Jesus' parables of the coming kingdom. And so, at times like this, we have the assurance that the God who holds that future will not abandon us, so that we can be free to create something new, and something better in line with that vision. The resurrection informs us that what appears to be the end is not the end, but merely a clearing away of debris, whether that debris is of a single life or a corporate one, that has been overcome by sin, death, and the devil. The end is not the end because God is still there, and God is a God of life and of new beginnings. When we finally come out of this, he says, my hope is that collectively we will take stock of the weaknesses that this pandemic has shown us, that we may decide to do better, to either fix the system or find another one that better suits our needs and the needs of the world. There is nothing magical or holy about the one we have now. It is simply inertia that holds us there. Gary Roth, ELCA, retired. Now my words. I'm reminded of what happens after a forest fire. Forest fires are devastating. They leave nothing as it was. An area ravaged by a forest fire looks lifeless and hopeless at first. But it doesn't take long for new growth to occur, for new life to emerge, and for the forest to be reborn. It will not be what it was, but in some ways it can be even better. I am convinced that the key to emerging from this crisis well is openness to God's hand in our lives. Are you willing to let God strip away what has been holding you back? Are you willing to allow God to replace the good ways of the past with the better ways of the future? Are you open to following Him wherever He leads, letting go of the shallow comforts of the past to embrace the adventure ahead? My prayer is that you are. My prayer is that I am. And my prayer is that we are. Looking forward to our future together. Pastor Jim.